Commissioner, you mentioned, and I'm not sure if I got this correct while you were speaking, but you talked about sharing ballistic information within interregionally, right?
Yes.
Correct. Does this suggest that there might be a second-hand trade in these weapons, or that there is some kind of a regionally organized, crime syndicates going on? What is the?
There is a fairly well established and clear understanding that organised crime groups are securing, by the purchase of weapons in the US, they are often then being smuggled by two particular routes, either coming in through cargo, hidden in vehicles or other cargo that's delivered to any of the islands, and also going in the go-fast boats, which are used, and quite often the drugs coming south from Florida are accompanied by drugs coming north, either out of South America, through the Eastern Caribbean, Jamaica, Haiti, and into Bahamas. And we have guns being actively used as a commodity to pay for drugs and or the smuggling of people. There have and continue to be direct connectivity of weapons that have been used in one jurisdiction, such as the Bahamas, being evidenced to being used in criminality in the US, and then being found later in Jamaica. Certainly, my own experience in the Cayman Islands has been in a particular weapon that was brought into the US as an AK-47 assault rifle, which was a war trophy. As a weapon arrives in the US, it has to be stamped in the US as to who the original importer was. That weapon then went off the radar, having been registered in the US. It turned up in Jamaica and finally turned up in the hands of a criminal in the Cayman Islands, having sprayed an opposition gang member's house. So there's a simple example about it's transited, going from island to island into Jamaica and turning up in a place like the Cayman Islands.
How recent was that example?
That example is 2 years ago.
Okay.
That weapon. More recently, we have a particular operation that is ongoing, that is fairly well known, that has been, we've had residents who reside in the US who purchase weapons or a series of weapons and then use and go on to purchase domestic appliances where these are then inserted into the domestic appliance or indeed children's toys and are then delivered through normal cargo. An operation that started in 2004 is still resulting in people being arrested as they get off a plane in the US because we're working closely with US authorities. And so far we're in the 10 to 12 people engaged in that operation as we speak.
Is it importations into different Caribbean countries, correct?
Into every Caribbean country.
Same methods?
Same efforts, same influence. All that's different is the scale of weapons. Certainly if you look at Jamaica, which suffers probably one of the highest levels of violence, you will see that they are recovering hundreds, if not thousands, of weapons each year that are acquired illegally and have become the commodity of choice for controlling drugs and or enforcing turf war between the various gangs.
Can I just add, I think there's another goal to this initiative, and we know that there are guns in every Caribbean country. We also know that no Caribbean country manufactures guns. So part of linking up the region and then tracing that back to the countries that supply guns is just providing another investigative stream for us to go down to see if, as Commissioner Baines said about the overall objective, is to actually stem the flow to start with. So you've got to work backwards now by the Caribbean countries looking at the weapons that they find and the ballistic information that they have, and following the trail back to see where they come from. And then the whole point is to lock that down.
So Jamaica, Trinidad, Bermuda, Cayman, we have an increase of gang activity. A young black man either shooting or getting locked up. What conclusion did you come up with to tackling this issue in the region?
Well, certainly, I think from the perspective of the conference, the conclusion was that there are clearly multiple facets to gangs and why they happen and why they form. That must mean there are multiple facets to the solution. So David talked earlier about the focus shifting slightly away from just law enforcement as a single tool on the tool belt, and now starting to look at all of the community mobilization pieces that can be brought together. And in fact, many of the presenters were actually from community helping agencies and talked about initiatives that strike at the heart of all the social problems that are driving it. So this is not just about investigative ability and technical resources to just catch people. This is about turning the clock back and starting to rebuild communities and actually change the culture so we don't form the gangs in the first place.
You mentioned, Commissioner Baines, you mentioned independent police operationals, independence of police operations, right? Is there, and I know you have a different system in the Cayman, but is there a call for police operations to be accountable to elected officials at all?
You're talking about in Bermuda?
In Cayman. I know about Bermuda.
We have a distinct structure at the moment, devised under the Constitution, that's modernised and came into being 2 years ago now, where police and security sits under the direct responsibility of the Governor. There are no plans afoot that I'm aware of to change that direction.
Right. I was asking, is there a political movement for that to happen?
Well, you will appreciate that police are apolitical and make no political comments, and I wouldn't be daft enough to suggest or make any comment here.